Hey everyone, today I'm doing a prom inspired makeup tutorial. I've gotten so many requests to do this type of video and I'm really excited. I had so much fun filming this. It's a very beautiful look. It is very dramatic, I think. But I think that's the point, since it is prom, like it's okay to go full out and do intense makeup. So yeah, if you are interested in how I got this look or how I did this look, then just please keep watching. Okay, so I've already washed, moisturized, and primed my face. For primer today, I used my Hangover Rx by Too Faced. This is like my holy grail primer. I always use this every single day, no matter what. And moving on to foundation, I'm using my new Nars All Day Luminous Weightless foundation. Mine is in the shade Medium 4, which is called Barcelona. I really love this foundation because it's really lightweight. Like, I don't feel it on my skin at all, but it's really full coverage. Alright, next I'm going to move on to concealer. Today I'm using my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is in the shade NC25 and I'm basically out of this. It is my favorite concealer and I really recommend it for prom night because it lasts a really long time. It doesn't crease. So basically I'm just applying this to the areas of my face that I want to highlight, which is under my eyes, my chin, my cupid's bow a little bit, the bridge of my nose, and a little bit on my forehead. And I'm going to start off by blending out with my finger, and then I'm going to use my damp beauty blender to further blend it out. Next, I'm going to take my Mercier Translucent setting powder. And what I do is I kind of tap a little bit into the lid, if you can see it, and then I'm just going to take my damp beauty blender again and use this to apply it just to the areas that I applied concealer. So I'm just using this to set my concealer, not my entire face. Next, I'm going to go in with my MAC Studio Fix powder. Mine is in the shade C6. I'm just going to be using a large powder brush from Real Techniques. I really love Real Techniques brushes because, one, they're really cheap and affordable, but they're also really good quality. So if you haven't tried them out, I really would recommend them. I'm just using this to set the rest of my face, so anywhere that I did not apply concealer or set with translucent powder. Just a little heads up on this powder. The people at MAC who sold me this, they told me to keep in mind that you do get a lot of flashback, like with photography, with flash photography, and what that means is supposedly when you wear this product and you take a photo with flash, it will wash you out, like it'll make you look pale. But I wore this on the night of my prom. My prom is not tonight, by the way. I'm just doing this since it was a requested video. But I wore this on the night of my prom, and I, of course, took a lot of pictures with flash and all that stuff, and it did not wash me out. But I just wanted to let you guys know, just in case, just so you guys could keep that in mind, that that's what it says that it does. I mean, I didn't have that problem, but maybe I'm just, I don't know. Anyways, that's it for that. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and start bronzing and contouring my face. So first I'm going to start off by taking my MAC Manai Skin Finish Natural. This is in the shade Dark Deepest, and I'm going to use this to just warm up my face a little bit. And I'm using a blush brush from Real Techniques. I'm just getting a little bit onto the side of the brush, and I'm basically just applying this to the areas that I would contour. It's going to kind of act as a transition shade for my contour, if that makes sense. Alright, then I'm going to contour, and I'm using my Shade and Light palette from Kat Von D. I just got this recently, but I am literally obsessed with it. I like it more than my Anastasia kit, so just to let you guys know. I'm going to be taking this yellow shade right here, and it's called Lyric, and I'm just using this brush from Real Techniques, just getting a little bit and using it to like highlight underneath my eyes. And I'm also highlighting down my nose, the center of my forehead, a little bit on my chin, and a little bit on my cupid's bow. First, I'm using Subconscious to start my initial contour, if you can see. So this is very subtle, and then I'm going to intensify it in a minute. Then I'm going to take a very small amount of this darkest shade right here, which is called Sombre. And I'm literally dabbing my brush in it so slightly and using that to just help intensify the contour. And I'm mixing both of those colors together and just building up the intensity to what I want. And then for nose contour, all I'm using is the lighter shade. I don't like very intense nose contours, but do whatever you want. I'm just going to be using a fluffy blending brush from Sephora, just getting a little bit of the first shade and using that to contour my nose. Next, I'm just going to move on to blush. This is my go-to blush from MAC. It's called Pinch Me, and I'm wiping off I'm wiping off my blush brush just to get off the bronzer and stuff off it, and I'm going to be using this brush to apply this blush. Oops. And I really like this blush. I think it works well with most skin types or skin colors. Maybe not really dark skin tones, but you can always, if you have darker skin tones, you can always use Raisin by MAC. It's very similar, it's just a little bit darker, if you can see. They're basically the same thing, and I really like this even on myself, but I'm going with this today. Next, I'm just going to highlight my face, and I'm doing something that I don't usually do, which is using two highlighters together. These are my absolute favorite. This one is Beca Shimmering Skin Perfector pressed in the shade Moonstone, and this is my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Soft and Gentle. And what I'm going to do is take my MAC one first, and I'm just using this stippling brush from Real Techniques. I like this a lot because it's dense for a stippling brush. Like, it's very compact, if that makes sense, so the product doesn't like fly around. And I'm just applying this to the areas of my face that I highlight, so tops of my cheekbones, the bridge of my nose, the tip of my nose, and then my cupid's bow. And then I'm going to go in with the Beca one, and I'm just going to lightly go over top of it just to make it more intense. And I really like the combination of these because the MAC one has more of a pink undertone, and this one's more of like a pearly white undertone. So together they're literally like, oh my god, what the freak? And I figured since it's like prom night, it's okay to go all out and be fabulous. Alright, so that's it for like face makeup, I'm pretty sure. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and do my eyebrows off camera. I did change up my eyebrow routine, which you might be able to notice once I'm done. They're not as intense as I used to do them. Okay, so for my brows, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I was saying that they're not as intense, but I mean, they are intense, but they're just not as dark, and I feel like they look a little bit softer than how I used to do them. So this is how I've been filling them in lately. If you're wondering, I only use two products. I use my Anastasia Brow Wiz. This is in the shade Dark Brown. And then I use my Anastasia Clear Brow Gel to set them. I'm going to be using my MAC Painpot. This is in the shade Soft Ochre. And I'm just going to be using a brush to apply this all over my eyelids up to my brow bone. Okay, so I zoomed in a little bit just so you could see what I'm doing a little bit easier. Alright, next I'm just going to be taking my Urban Decay Naked 2 palette, and I'm going to be using the shade Tease and just a fluffy blending brush to apply this to my crease. This is just going to act as a transition shade for the colors that I'm going to be using later. Alright, next I'm just going to be taking an eyeshadow from MAC, and it's called All That Glitters. It's just like light champagne color, and I'm just going to apply this to my eyelids. Then I'm going to be going back in with Tease from the Naked 2 palette, and I'm just going to reapply this to my crease. And then I'm going to be taking a MAC eyeshadow again. This one is called, I'm pretty sure, I don't know the name of it, but I will show you it. It's this one right here. It's just a really dark brown. I'm sorry that I don't know the name. I'll leave it down below. And basically, I'm just going to be taking this brush from Sephora. It's a number 16. It's one of my favorite brushes to use for this purpose. What I'm going to do is focus this on like the outer, can you see the outer V of my eye, and blend it into my crease. Alright, next I'm going to be taking Blackout from my Naked 2 palette, which is just a matte black shade. And I'm going to be using the same brush. I just wiped it off. And I'm just going to be getting this color on this brush and just packing this only on my outer corner. I'm not blending it into my crease. I'm just packing it right here. I mean, I am blending it, but not inwards, like kind of more outwards, if you can see. This is a very, very pigmented black, which is why I'm using it. I have Carbon by MAC, I think that's what it's called, and it's not nearly as pigmented as this, so just a little heads up. And once I have it placed where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and take my blending brush, again with no product on it, and I'm just using it to blend the black into the brown. And then I'm going to be taking the shade Booty Call from my Naked 2 palette, and I'm just going to be applying this to my inner corners. With my blending brush, I'm going to be taking Tease from the Naked 2 palette, which was the first eyeshadow shade that we used. I'm just running this underneath on my lower lash line. And then I'm going to be taking a little bit of the MAC dark brown shade that I don't know the name of, and I'm just going to be focusing this on like the outer corner of my lower lash line and blending it inwards. Okay, so I think that's it for eyeshadows. My nose really itches right now. I'm not picking my nose, it just itches. Alright, sorry. So now I'm going to move on to eyeliner, which is my favorite part. Okay, I swear, I really swear I attempted to film my eyeliner. I was halfway through one eye and I was like, I just can't do it. It's so hard to try to stay in frame, and I don't know, it's really hard to explain it as I'm doing it, and I'm really sorry. I know so many people want to see how I do my winged eyeliner, but it is impossible for me to film it. I will try again one day, but it is just so hard. So basically I went ahead and did that, and I used my Inglot gel liner, and this is in the shade 77, which is just black. And then I applied some mascara. This is from Loreal. I think it's new, but I don't really know. And it doesn't really have a name. It's just black and it says Loreal on it. Okay, so I applied that, and then I applied some lashes. These are by the brand Kiss. I really like this brand. I usually use Ardell, but I think I like this brand a little bit better. And these are the ones that are called Graceful. They are pretty long and flirty, and I applied those. And that's all I've done. So I finished my eyes basically, and now I'm just going to take this Urban Decay all-nighter makeup setting spray. I really recommend a setting spray, especially for prom, because you don't want your makeup to melt off, and this really is a good one. I recommend it. So I just do a few sprays of that, and that's just kind of gonna lock, I don't know what I'm saying, lock in my makeup. Next, I'm going to move on to lips. I'm going to be using Spirt by MAC. I'm just going to apply this. I don't really like to use a lip liner with this lipstick, but you can. So I guess that's it for the makeup. Okay, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please thumbs this video up if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel if you are not already, and let me know down below what videos you want me to make in the future. Oh god, my friend's calling me. We're supposed to go eat breakfast, and I told her I was gonna leave 5 minutes ago, but that was like 30 minutes ago. Oh god. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna go now. Bye.